So this goes right along with that question. It's like, what's most likely to kill somebody when they're out in the sticks? Like not necessarily with a guide, but if they're just going out in the sticks to go hunting, is it weather, an animal? Like what's most likely to get them in a situation where they could die?
You know, we've actually talked about this a ton. The other clients and other guides that I work with, and I've had several unfortunate, pretty sad experiences that I've been involved with. And at the end of the day, I think it boils down to people making decisions that they know are wrong. I'll give you an example. People, when they get in a hunting situation, it's a once-in-a-lifetime hunt, and they do things they normally wouldn't do. So for example, I had two clients with me that we were mountain goat hunting just outside of Valdez, off the Prince William Sound. The day that we were going up the mountain, two local residents were coming up as well. So in Alaska, local residents can hunt any of the animals up there without a guide. Non-residents have to have a guide. As we were going up the mountain, we ran into these two local guys that we knew. They actually worked at the fish plant. I kind of talked to them. I wanted to make sure we were hunting separate parts of the mountain. So they told me where they were going. I had spotted a couple other goats I wanted to go after anyways, and so we kind of split up. That morning, we heard a shot, early in the morning, probably around 8, 9 o'clock in the morning, we heard a shot. And then about a half an hour later, I saw one of the guys running along the mountain, just completely panicked. And what happened is they had shot a goat out on a really, really steep face that was complete granite. They didn't have proper gear. They didn't have even crampons. They didn't have ropes. They didn't have harnesses. They had nothing. They literally tried to go out on the face to recover that goat. And the one guy slipped and fell. Ended up, he slipped a little bit, and then he hit his head on a rock, knocked him out, and then he rolled down and went off a 500-foot cliff right onto a glacier and killed him. And so it's one of those things, if you were out just hiking, you would never normally walk out there. So why would you take a risk at shooting an animal somewhere you can't harvest it and then going out there knowing that there's a possibility that you could die? And every one of the situations I've been involved with, it boils down to that. People making unsound decisions. They get emotional, they get excited, it's an amazing animal, and they shoot it in a position that they shouldn't, or they put themselves in danger by going somewhere that they shouldn't. So there's a lot of people that say it's weather, and weather does have a determining factor for sure, especially in Alaska where we fly a ton. But the number one is you got to trust your gut. If your gut's telling you no, then no is the answer. And I think that's another reason where it comes back to having a guide. As I mentioned earlier, I sound like I'm pimping the guide industry, but our number one focus is making sure that the hunters are safe. And if you're out there on your own, you need to keep that in your mind too. My number one think about if you're out there with your son, right? If you're out there with Jake, you'd be like, okay, my number one deal is to make sure he's safe and I'm bringing him back home alive. Not that we just make sure we kill an animal. So I think it's human error every time.